Unintelligible syllables. Stature, relax your left foot, your right hand.
In 2013, one rider dominated both motocross and supercross. His name is Ryan Villopoto.
From NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell to the host of NFL Game Day to high-profile athletes, actors, and actresses, author Samuel Joseph has been training clients to improve their vocal power for over 40 years.
In 5, the same sentence. 3, eyes tell the story.
Supercross color analyst Jeff Emig is studying racing statistics and doing voice exercises at his home in Southern California. He struggled with a speech impediment as a young man and now must do vocal exercises for an hour a day in order to maintain his career.
In 2013, Ryan Villopoto won 10 main events on his way to the Monster Energy Supercross Championship.
It should have never been an option for me to be spokesperson for a major motorcycle brand, for an apparel company, to be the voice of a sport. When I was little, I couldn't even talk. I would start to stutter, and I couldn't get it out, and Dad going, hey, you know, spit it out. What you know when you stutter, the person on the other side, they're hanging going, they know what you want to say, but you can't get it out, and then it grows and grows and grows, and then you finally get it out. And then you're just like, okay, can we just end this conversation now? I just want to go the other direction.
And Anderson is going to yank the rug out from underneath Seeley 2 weeks in a row.
But Jenny, I would keep it simple. What are you feeling?
To excel at Supercross, it's all about self-esteem, confidence in yourself.
Let's hear what Cole Seeley has to say this time, Jenny.
And I'm going to tell you a story why maybe I struggled as a rider in those early years. Before the main event, the PA announcer at the stadium would grab the mic, we would get off our bikes, we would take our helmets off, that mic would start to come down the line for me in front of 60,000 people. I'm shaking in my boots because I have to say my name, where I'm from, and all of a sudden, self-esteem, confidence, gone. Right before I'm supposed to have the most confidence.
Louder. 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 Great.
The bottom line is, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I stuttered. Not a little bit, but a lot. Where it was uncomfortable for myself, it was uncomfortable for everyone in the room.
Wide open, you know, it was, you know, we talked about it, and, you know, and we went to figure out how come we weren't winning.
I look back on some of those interviews now, just horrendous. Like, it's embarrassing to watch that.
The mastery is in the subtlety. Over the years that he was at the top of his sport, he kept refining week to week, year to year, race to race, his craft. I simply apply the same principles. It's not what somebody thinks about us. It's what we claim for ourselves to be true.
For me, when things really started to change from the stuttering part, it all came with the confidence that I started to build in myself by becoming a better racer and by becoming a champion. You can accept the challenge, have the work ethic. This is life. Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be a winner or not?
Today, Wilson just gets into the back of him as Tanner was going a double single. Both riders go down.
He convinced me to think about what sort of work ethic, what was the process when you were a racer. I want to be the best color analyst that Supercross has ever had. We're not curing cancer here. We're just calling dirt bike races. We're having a good time. But there's a responsibility to the industry, to everyone in the pits, to the riders.
Emig, flawless. It is Jeff Emig.
Hi, everybody. I'm really excited to be on this webinar with all of you students from around the world. I'm honored that On Track and Andre and Tasha would have me on as a guest. When we first talked about what sort of topic I wanted to bring to the webinar and to speak to you guys about, I think the one thing for me, you can tell by that short clip, that was on CBS network for Supercross, for those of you that don't know what Supercross is, but that was part of a feature that was done. And my obstacle in life that I've had to overcome is growing up with a speech impediment. And every now and then, even now, it happened yesterday, it happened earlier this morning, I'll get stuck on a word and I stutter some. And when I was just a young boy, I mean, you know, really little, I could barely get a word out. And then I find myself, let's see, I was age 35, sorry, when I became the voice of Supercross and motocross. And I took the position on the live broadcast for Monster Energy Supercross and Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship as what they call the color analyst. So on a sporting event, you have your play-by-play, which is the guy that does the who, what, where, and when. And then you have the ex-player or the ex-racer in this case, and then I'm what's called the color analyst. So I'm the guy that's been on the field or on the track, if you will. So my journey to starting a career in broadcasting and using my voice was actually pretty unlikely considering where I started at. And so what I want to talk to you guys about is, you know, overcoming adversity. It doesn't matter who it is, the most successful person, the person that you see on the street, or friends or siblings or you know, relatives. Everyone has to face adversity in your lives, right? Does everyone have a good idea, understanding of what that means? Andre, you have a definition that you could share with us?
Yeah, I would say that you're overcoming adversity. You know, you're overcoming something that is in the way, kind of like an obstacle.
Yeah. So we'll look up the definition here. Difficulties or misfortune, right? And so throughout life, you won't just have one batch of adversity. You know, we all will have dozens, if not hundreds of things that you have to overcome. And so the point of me being on this webinar with all of you here today is to talk about the specific adversity that I had with my speech and what sort of journey I was on and how I got to the place I'm at now. And actually the place I'm at right now, I'm at the Fox Racing headquarters. Do we have any motocross kids on the thing right now? Raise your hand, wave to me if you're a motocross rider. So I am at the headquarters for Fox Racing. You can see Fox right up there, and Shift in Irvine, California. We've got this beautiful library that we have built into the headquarters here. So I'm coming to you guys live from here. So I'll just go back and start from the beginning. I mean, Tasha's going to throw some photos up here. We'll kind of go through a little playlist, and that'll help me lead me through this story. So if you want to go ahead and start with that first cycle news. Oh, that must be Tasha's daughter. So back up one. Yeah. So keep going back. Yeah. So this was, what's that? May 15th, 1997 is what it should say. No, 87. Wow. So this was a really important race for me. World Mini Grand Prix, first cycle news cover. And this is when I really had a feeling that, that where my racing was at, that I could have a shot at having a pro career. At that time, you know, my stutter and my speech impediment was something that was pretty prevalent. But I didn't know how the obstacles, I didn't know the type of challenges I would have to face at this time. Go one more slide here. So now we fast forward to 1990, and I'm on Factory Kawasaki, which now would be known as the Monster Energy Kawasaki team that Eli Tomac and Joey Savacci are on. So I'm a 125 rider, which is now the 250s. And now I'm having to do press conferences and interviews and speak, you know, do public speaking. And I'm not very good at it. And there, especially this year, I remember there was a press conference in San Diego at the Supercross, and I got stuck on a word, and it was so embarrassing, right? But as a racer, I was thriving. Things were good. Fast forward to the next one. Next slide, that takes us up to about 1992. I finally cut my mullet off. So go back one. Tasha's just zooming through this here. So yeah, so now I cut my mullet off, which may be coming back one of these days. And now I've won a championship, and now I really have to use my voice and do a lot of public speaking, and still was really, really unpolished. So now we'll fast forward a few years to 1997 when I won the Supercross and Motocross Championship here in the United States. And this was a crazy photo here from this crazy movie that we did. But around 1997 is when I was really thrust into the spotlight. And I had found a way to, you want to fast forward one, Tasha? Found a way to kind of fake my way through all of the public speaking that I had to do, because there was no getting out of it. If I was going to be a professional motocross and supercross racer, winning championships, that I would have to speak at a press conference every week in front of the media, doing interviews, television interviews, things like that. And one thing that changed is purely by being exposed to the fact that I had to do these interviews and whatnot. So I had to figure out a way around it. And at that time, I found a way to help my stutter by using a few little bridge words and you knows and uhs and ums and things like that, which I try not to put into my vocabulary now. But at the time, that's something that I used to help overcome this adversity. And a lot of what happened is not just the sheer number of interviews and press conferences and all that I had to do, but was also the confidence that my success as a racer brought me as a person. So my confidence as a man and as a racer and all of that helped me feel more confident about using my voice, right? So we'll fast forward a couple more or another slide and get through the main part of my racing career. It's one of my favorite photos. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Here was a shift ad that was created at the end of 1997. And just that moment right there was where it was, for me, probably the best moment of my career, literally at the time of that photo. I won the 250 motocross championship that year also. Just a really special day. So I thought I'd share that. And so now we're going to move into, I retire from racing and I start broadcasting for Monster Energy Supercross. At first we were on Speed Network. Then we moved to Fox Network, and we can keep kind of going through here. And so now all of a sudden, I had always had this desire to be the color analyst on these broadcasts. And I have no idea what the attraction was of wanting to expose myself to expose my stutter to everyone else. And I remember I was flying up for my very first meeting. I was going to do a voiceover test before I signed the contract to do that job. And I thought to myself, I was like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? Like, I can't do this job. Like, what? I have a stutter. Like, I have a speech impediment. Why am I was like magnetized to this position, right? And so I just really looked at it's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to use my voice. I wanted to expand my career from racing into broadcasting. And I also knew that I needed help with it. And so in that video earlier that you guys saw, his name's Arthur Joseph. So he's basically a voice guru, and he's just one of the most amazing individuals that you could run across. And he really helped me find my place as a broadcaster. And so even though I'm not on the broadcast this year, I did 12 years of broadcast with Monster Energy Supercross. And so we can kind of flip through some of those pictures if you want. This is Ralph Shaheen, who I did all those races with. Here's the trio of Ricky Carmichael. Most of you guys know him, Ralph Shaheen, myself. You can keep flipping through. That was probably a couple of years ago. I mean, I've been able to do these stand-up interviews. This is actually a presentation for Shift MX and Fox Racing down in Australia. So I've done product and brand presentations for Fox Racing. This was actually at the season opening press conference from Monster Energy Supercross. And you talk about a challenge, okay? So I wrote a script, had everything bullet points I wanted to say, but now I'm leading the press conference as the host with all the stars of Supercross to my right, all the bosses, all the media. I mean, at that place there had to be 50 cameras on me at that time. And the young kid that you saw, the young kid racer, would have not have had the confidence to do that. I would have not been on the journey where I had been able to build my confidence and use my voice. We'll keep going, another slide. This was Atlanta last year. Just another shot there showing Supercross in the background. We'll go another slide. This was on the set for the Motocross of Nations in France. Go another slide. More with Ralph and I. And Ralph's probably wondering, what the heck are you talking about? You're making no sense right now. Another slide. This was Anaheim last year, so about a year ago. Working with my buddy there. Go another slide. Motocross of Nations at Redbud last year, who I do the broadcast with, Paul Malin, rider that I actually raced against. Now he's a dear friend. It's kind of funny how those things come full circle, because at one time we were like this, and now we're like this, you know. So pretty cool. Love working with him. And also, you know, not just through my success from racing and all of the great things that come from the hard work that you put in, right? You also have the opportunity, or I've had the opportunity through overcoming the adversity of having a stutter to becoming the voice of a sport. And this is Marc Marquez. He's a MotoGP world champion in the middle. One more slide here. This, the guy with the blue hat on, anybody recognize him? NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson, him and his daughter. So he came up to the broadcast booth to, it's probably in Atlanta at Georgia Dome or something. We've had Jeff Gordon and all kinds of great celebrities come visit us up in the broadcast booth. So we've had the opportunity to meet these people and get to know them. Another thing that along the way, to me, one of the best moments of my career as a public speaker broadcasting was when my buddy Ricky Carmichael, who was just in this room a couple minutes ago, he's here running around the building somewhere. He asked me to do the introduction for his Motorsports Hall of Fame of America introduction. So I introduced him. And that's a really special thing to get to do for one of your friends. And, you know, I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not put in the hard work and crafted my vocal abilities like I did. So pretty cool opportunity there. Go to the next slide. This was on the set of The Herd, or they call it The Herd. It's on Fox Sports. Did a big feature with Supercross. This would have been about a year ago. And so in this situation, I'm on this major show on Fox Sports, okay? And I'm representing the entire sport, the entire industry. I'm the voice of the sport a year ago. And if you had told me when I was you guys' age, when I was, you twins, you guys are about 11, right? I think you guys are about the same age as my boy. Just wave your hand up. Are you 11? You 12? How old are you guys? All of you guys? Yeah, okay. So if you had told me then that I would be doing something like this on a major show, on a major broadcast, I would have said you were completely crazy. No chance. But I faced that adversity. For some reason, I was drawn to it, to the obstacle, and by is that the last slide, Tasha? Yeah. By just sort of, looking the lion right in the face and, just taking them, trying to overcome that. I have really got to live a great life, done some incredible things, long past my racing career. And that all was because I took this obstacle in my life and I decided that it wasn't going to beat me, and I was going to find a way to get around that. So that's the end of this part here. And I think that now what we'll do is open it up to some questions and, just ask you guys what sort of obstacles do you have in your life that you think are holding you back? So I'm not quite sure how this is going to work at the moment, whether we're just going to use the chat or whatnot. If Tasha, you want to, or Andre, you want to let us know?
Yeah, guys, usually during this part, if you have a question, we'd like for you to put it in the chat box. And then if you want to actually ask the question, we'll call on you. And, you can just say, hey, I've got a question. So we'll kind of queue you guys up for who's kind of put you in the line, I guess. So whoever's got a question, go ahead and type in there that you've got a question. We'll call on you and unmute your mic.
And it would be great to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you.
Come on, guys. Let me have it. Let me have it. Who's got an obstacle in their life that they need to overcome? You guys are all good, huh? Homeschooled? No problem. No questions about Fortnite? Anybody play Fortnite? Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Okay.
You had to go there.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. So no questions at all, huh?
Oh, they'll be coming. They might be a little shy, but they'll be coming.
A little shy right now.
I think it's an incredible story. I mean, talk about going from 0 to 100 and overcoming a challenge. It's a great story, and I'm so glad that you shared that with us. And I know that we all have obstacles. When we think about all the training and riding that all of you are doing and getting a good quality education at the same time, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Brandon,
sorry to cut you off. Yeah, it looks like we've got some questions coming up. Brandon, if you want to unmute your mic, you can ask your question so we can hear from you.
Who's Brandon?
So, how many hours did you spend in that room with your voice coach?
Okay, yeah. So how many hours did you spend in that room with your voice coach? So, wow, a lot. And a lot would be, how many hours have I been in that room? I don't know, 100 hours maybe. And just so you know, your parents that are on, he bills by the hour and it's not cheap. But that's his studio. And if I had a list of athletes and celebrities and business leaders that I could read off to you that have sat in that same chair and done those same wacky, voice exercises and things that I did, it would blow your mind, right? Plus, we would have, and we did last spring was the last time that I worked with Arthur. We've spent dozens and dozens of hours on the phone prepping for events and things like that. So yeah, Arthur and I have spent a lot of time together. The next one was, did I make more money racing or broadcasting? Okay, so the more risk involved is usually the more money that you make. So for sure, up to this point, broadcasting is a nice living, but when you're able to win the Monster Energy Supercross Championship and the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship and things like that, the pay is very, very good.
Ronan, do you want to unmute your mic and ask your question?
There you go. Just ask that question right there. Okay. Right there. Hi, Jeff. Thank you for your time, by the way. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you come from Australia?
Well, I'm from Brisbane, but we live in Florida right now.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So Ronan had a question.
Okay.
What would you say to help overcome the mental side of the sport?
To the mental side of
motocross
racing?
Yes.
Yeah. So confidence is everything. And I used to think that it was just something that was for racing. And now that I'm a 48-year-old man and I'm a father, businessman, like you name it, confidence and belief in yourself is so important. And one thing that I actually wrote it down during the video at the beginning, Arthur Joseph was just such an amazing coach and leader. One of the things that he said in that video was, it's not what we think about, it's not what others think about us, it's how we think about ourselves. And so one of the things that is important in racing motocross or in life is having confidence and believing in yourself. And it's so much easier said than done. Well, just believe in yourself. Just be confident. Just know that you've got this. And that's not how it works. And so with racing in particular, it has to do with setting short-term goals, long-term goals, and then setting a plan of how to reach those goals. And it's the little daily victories, when you start to add them up and they stack up and they stack up, all of a sudden, like here, you've got one little daily victory. But when you stack all those up and you haven't had any setbacks, all of a sudden, now you've got a big victory, right? So it's like stacking pennies. How many dollars do you have if you stack 100 pennies?
$100.
You have $1, right? You have $1, but it takes 100 pennies, 100 of those little pennies to get $1, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy, but somebody wants to go with that, I don't know. But you know how many V-Bucks you have? If you have, no, I'm kidding. They're like, oh, V-Bucks, we know what those are. So short-term goals and long-term goals, mid-range goals, with everything, I find that it's really important to set the path to where you're going. Because unless you have a goal, right, like if you get in your car and you just start driving, where are you going? You don't know, you're just driving. But if you get in your car and say, hey, I want to go to the store. Okay, well now your goal is the store. So now you know what path to take. So first off, you have to set your goal. What's your long-term goal? And then what things do you have to do to reach that goal? And I think that that's a lot of it when it comes to racing, is setting a goal of where you want to be in the future. What are the activities and things that you have to do to get there, and to create some short-term goals. Because once you know how, if you've never done something before and it's kind of hard and then you do it, right? All of a sudden, how do you feel about yourself? Right, Ronan?
Yes.
Wow, you're like, wow, I did that. I didn't think I could do that. I did that. So you know how you feel? That feeling that you get is, whoa, so that's confidence. And if you keep doing that, you're like, oh, I'm no good. I can't do it. And then you say, okay, I'm going to set my mind. I'm going to try to reach this goal. And then you do it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, and look what happens. You're like, oh, I feel better about myself. And then you do it again. And then next thing you know, you're like, yes, I did it. And then now how do you feel? Instead of being slumped over, oh, I'm so, this, that, I can't do that. I'm not strong enough, big enough, smart enough, whatever. But then when you reach those goals, all of a sudden your shoulders come back and you feel confidence. And it's literally the most important thing in life when it comes to reaching goals.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Gage was asking me, do you still get nervous before going live? I think that there's a little bit of anxiousness and a little bit of excitement. Where's Gage at? I don't know if I see Gage.
Kate, you want to unmute your mic and say hi?
Gage, where you at, buddy? Oh, there he is. On the right. Nope, not seeing Gage. So anyway, just to keep it moving, yeah, for sure. But with the broadcasting, so I was doing upwards of 30 broadcasts a year. It took me about 7 years to where I stopped having that really bad nervousness, and I would look at my notes and I'm like, okay, here's what I want to say and all this. And I still do that, but for sure I'm more like, I got this. But think about it. So I was on Monster Energy Supercross for 12 years. It took me 7 to get to the place where before the race, I got my swagger going. I'm like, no problem. What, did I ever get nervous? Sure, here and there when I really wanted to get a comment right or something, or there was maybe something new we were trying on the show. But yeah, it took 7 years. So that's like 7 times 30 is how many? 210. Is my math right?
Your math is right.
Good. I don't want to let my little sister down. She's a math professor, so I got to at least get that easy multiplication right. So, Gage, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I guess he's good.
Okay. All right. Jordan, where's Jordan at? I see Jordan. I'm not seeing a Jordan. Not seeing a picture, but so the next question there.
Jordan's here. Jordan, are you unmuted? Do you want to ask Jeff your question?
Can you hear him? Okay.
Oh, there you go. I see it. You got your headset on. How's it going, Jordan?
Good. You?
Awesome. Thanks for being on the webinar here. So what's your question, buddy?
I wanted to see if you remembered the helmet that one of my friends from Hungary, he painted for me to race Loretta Lynn's in 2013.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah, my replica from '99.
Yes, sir.
Captain America. I love it. And that's your helmet?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Cool. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for being on. We'll move to the next one here. Jordan, did you have a question beyond that or no?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep moving. Noah says, do you think you work more hours a day now doing broadcasting and everything else, or more when you were racing? I would give anything to go back to the racing days because it's so easy. That I used to think the training and the dedication and everything that was involved in that was so hard. And it's like, you know what I get paid to do? I get paid to go work out. I get paid to run. I get paid to lift weights. I get paid to race my motorcycle and ride my motorcycle. And somebody else took care of everything else. And that's what I tell all the pro riders now. I'm like, you guys have no idea how easy it is right now. You think it's hard because yes, there's risk involved. Yes, the physical training and dedication and all that is tremendous. But then you get into real life and you have families and things like that. It gets way more difficult. So hours a day, yeah, I would say it was less hours a day racing because it's so very focused. Yep. Now it never stops. I could work 24 hours a day if I wanted to. So thank you, Noah, for your, where you at, Noah? Do you want to follow up on that?
No, thank you.
Rider, huh?
Yeah.
All right. What do you ride?
Oh, 125.
I was going to say that. For some reason, to me, you look like a 125 rider. I ride a 150 myself, so we got the two-stroke brotherhood going.
Yeah.
I like it. Do you want to ask anything else on that, or is that what you need?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, Lee might have locked up. There he is. All right, well, let's keep it moving. Banks, where's Banks at? Let's see, Banks. I do not see a Banks. So I don't see a picture, but that's okay.
We can hear you, Banks. Are you unmuted? Can you ask your question?
Yeah, unmute yourself, Banks.
Which question were you talking about?
How many years have I been announcing? Yeah, that's been it was 12 years with Monster Energy Supercross. Yeah. So, and I'm not on the shows this year. That's just new. So we've had 2 Supercrosses, but my use of using my voice for my business still continues, and I plan on it continuing, as long as I'm alive. Did you have another question? Oh yeah. How many wins do I have on Fortnite? None. I don't play. That's not. I'm like, my son plays, and I'm like, he's 11. I'm like, nope, it's not for me. I play some FIFA 19 though, but he's way better at that, and I have to play like the best team, and he has to be the worst team. So, but no Fortnite for me. So, thanks for your question though, Banks. Monica, where's Monica? Monica. Oh, Monica, you want to unmute yourself?
Oops. Monica, would you like to ask your question? You're muted. Oh, well, let's go ahead and read that question.
Yeah, okay. So when you're on the starting line and look from side to side and get intimidated by your competition, how do you overcome that? It's just pure hard work and dedication. And that's interesting that you say that exact same thing. So for those of you that know anything about motocross history, there was a guy by the name of Rick Johnson, absolute legend, Supercross champion, Motocross of Nations, all that. He told me one time, this had to be 25 years ago, he says, you know, the best feeling ever as a racer is when you're on the starting line and you look to your left and you look to your right and you think to yourself, nobody is going to beat me today. And then you go out and execute it. And just like RJ told me, I was fortunate enough to have days like that. And it's a pretty good feeling. You're on the starting line, the race hasn't even taken off, and you're like, I got this. And what is that? That's confidence. And that's believing in yourself. That's doing the work, the things that you need to do to reach your short-term goals, eventually your long-term goals, i.e. become a motocross champion. And there were times in my racing career that I was like this. I was like, oh, I look down the line, it's like, oh, there's no way I'm winning today. And I don't like that. That's not the feeling that you want. You want to work towards things in your life, achieve your short-term goals to get to your long-term goals to where you're there and you're thinking, you know what? Nobody's going to beat me today. So thank you for the question, Monica.
Good questions.
All right. Tanner, you got a question? Where's Tanner? Where you at, buddy?
Right here.
Are you guys in the same house? Oh, you guys are right next to each other now, I see, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Okay, what's your question?
When was your most nervous time broadcasting? When you're
Most nervous time?
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, like no doubt about it. Anaheim Supercross, so round 1 of Supercross from Anaheim in 2007. It was a live broadcast. And so I had done 3 broadcasts up to that point, but they weren't live. They were what they call tape delay. So you film it live, they edit it, and then it gets aired on TV. So Anaheim in 2007 was my first live broadcast, and going on air. I mean, the opening, you know how when they come up, hey, Ralph's going, hey, we're in Anaheim for Monster Energy Supercross, and then we come on camera, right? You know what I'm talking about, Tanner?
Yeah.
So you call that, hey, that's your first on camera. So I'm standing here with the mic. Ralph was always on my right. And so Ralph says, hey, I'm Ralph Shaheen. I'm with Jeff Emig, and we're here for Monster Energy Supercross, blah, 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 this racer, that racer. Jeff, what do you think? And it's like, you know, you can't do that. So I would literally write down all of the bullet points and all the thoughts that I wanted, and I would practice that over and over and over, to where that no matter what, when he threw to me, I'm like, hey, look, James Stewart set fastest time, and this guy and this guy and this guy, all of that. So I knew what it was going to be, and I'm doing all of the exercises that Arthur had taught me and we had worked on over and over and over about breathing and stature and all of these things. But for sure, that was the most nervous time ever.
Yeah, I raced last year. I raced Dallas Supercross.
I remember that. Yep. That was nervous, huh?
Yeah,
that's a big stadium, especially at you guys' age.
I got a Superman off the start, and then I made my way off to fourth, and then I crashed, and then I bobbled, and then I got eighth.
All right. Good job.
Thanks.
Ty, which one did you race? Or maybe you could just tell it for us. Did you race the next one?
You raced St. Louis.
Where at?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Ooh, I like St. Louis too. Cool. That was a good experience, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your question. Okay, let's see. I have a question. So we just went down the line. Caden, you want to ask me your question, or did you type it?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think in the amateur races, like Loretta Lynn's, the qualifiers and regionals, that back when you raced in the amateurs compared to how people race now, that there was a difference?
I think racing's racing. You know, we all, the gate drops and we're trying to do our best. I think that most riders are better prepared, especially the type of support and guidance that amateur racers get, especially top amateurs get, is so much greater than what it was. I mean, I raced Loretta's in 1983 was my first year. It was the second year that they had it, right? And nowadays it's bigger and it's better and it's all these things. But when the gate drops, you know, the one with the most confidence, the best prepared, is the person that ends up winning. So is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Caden. I appreciate you being on. All right. So we'll go down. Thanks. I'm not going to talk about the Dean Wilson thing, but thanks for your question. Brandon Shaw. Where's Brandon at again? Didn't we already have a question from Brandon earlier?
We did, but I don't think we saw him. Let's see.
Okay. So where's Brandon at? I don't see Brandon.
It's not a photo, but he's muted. Brandon, can you hear us? Do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, there. We can hear you, yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, have you ever crashed and you're scarred by what's happened and, like, you're scared that it's going to happen again? And do you have any tips to overcome that?
Yep. Well, I've had my share, okay. So I started racing motocross. I started riding a motorcycle in 1975. I started racing in 78, and I had a whole professional career. So, I mean, and I still ride and race to this day. It's interesting, you know, I have a lot of experience with this from myself, my brother who raced, teammates, friends, kids that I trained. You know, there is some risk involved in racing motocross. We know that. it's also an amazing sport. It absolutely just, you know, all of us that are in it, we're drawn to it for a certain reason. And there is some risk involved. We know that. That's why it's even more important to be properly prepared, to be, you know, really focused when you're on the line or when you're going practicing or when you're riding, is to reduce the risk of that. But I also believe that those of us that choose to race motocross, we do that because it's so exciting, because there is that element, right? That, and that's why we're not bowling or, you know, playing baseball or something. Just, it's not for us. And I don't want to knock those other sports, but, you know, we need something that gets our juices flowing, that really makes us feel alive. And I think that most of us would say that once you get on a motorcycle, a dirt bike specifically, you have full control of where that motorcycle goes. Well, most of the time we have control. We try to, but you have control over where the motorcycle goes and if it goes fast or slow and all this. And so all the elements that make riding a motocross bike just such an incredible feeling are there. And yeah, I've had injuries. I ended my racing career. I crushed a vertebrae in my lower back, and I was forced to retire from racing as a professional. And so whether it's me as a 29-year-old professional former champion, or whether it's you at a young age, it's your decision on what you want to do with this. And if you have a crash, it's completely normal to be hesitant and to think about that. But what you have to do is you have to process it and say, okay, why did I do that? Why did I have this crash? What mistake did I make? Okay. And learn from that. And then you literally have to take that fear. You have to find a way to start slow again, right? Start riding, start doing your laps or whatever, and put that behind you. And, you know, I've often said that Supercross racers have the shortest memories of anyone in the world. What animal is it, Andrea, Tasha, that has a very short memory? Anyone?
No.
Anyway, we're like that.
Should know.
So you just have to put it out of your mind and say, okay, that was an incident. It can or can't happen again, but I'm in control of the motorcycle and I'm in control of me. So whether or not that happens again is up to me. So I'm going to choose to not make that mistake again. I'm going to do my best to prepare myself and be ready to go and concentrate to whether that doesn't happen again. So.
Brandon told us it's a goldfish.
All right. That's, yeah, goldfish. Yeah.
I was going to say.
I've never seen a goldfish race Supercross, but if they did, they would be good at that. So.
Yeah.
All right. You bet. You bet. Any more questions, guys?
What are you doing? I'm putting, oops. What? Unmuted me. Oopsie.
It's all right. Did you guys want to ask anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, just, you know, the topic that we wanted to talk about here was overcoming adversity. And I think this, Brandon's question was really relevant, especially for all of us motocross riders. The adversity that he's facing is, hey, I crashed and I got hurt, and now I'm a little bit scared to get back on that bike or get back and ride at that pace or, you know, go through that. And that's natural. I mean, you're going to have setbacks and you're going to have things that happen in life. You'll have things that will cause you pain. You'll have things that will cause you embarrassment, all different kinds of things. And so, you know, the only thing that I can say to that is, especially a lot lately, the last couple of years, I've studied a lot of great businessmen. And you know what's crazy about, and I actually just finished a book. Anybody know what Nikes are? Raise your hand, raise your hand. Do a swoosh for me if you know what a Nike is. Everyone know what a Nike is? Okay, so I just finished the book by the founder of Nike. His name's Phil Knight. I just finished his autobiography. You guys know what that is? It's a story about your life, essentially. Absolutely amazing. I mean, the company's worth billions and billions of dollars, right? They've sold probably billions of shoes along the way. And what struck me in this audiobook was how much adversity and how many times on his way to becoming a billionaire and having the most successful sports shoe company, well, probably shoe company in the world, right? How many failures he had. He failed all the time. He made mistake after mistake after mistake. Richard Branson from the Virgin Group, or, you know, you name it, all these top entrepreneurs and businessmen and successful people. Even that guy that was just in here earlier, you guys know who Ricky Carmichael is? If we brought him in here and he told you how many times he failed in life, how many times that obstacle was too big and he crashed or he did this and that, it would blow your mind. Because a lot of times, and especially probably at you guys' ages, is that you think that people that win or that are successful, that they just woke up that day and that's how it was. Every one of those successful people that have won championships, have had victories, have, you know, created businesses, have, you know, you name it, they've faced adversity. And the thing that you have to, I promise you, that if you are fearful of something, and if you don't act on it, if you don't look fear right in the face and say, we're going to do this. You may beat me today, but the one thing that you're not going to do is you're not going to scare me away. We are going to do this, you and I. Fear, it's you and I, mano a mano. And I guarantee you that if you look fear straight in the face, and whatever that obstacle is, whatever the adversity is, if you just go head on to try to overcome that you will feel better afterwards. Some you're going to win, some you're not. But the worst feeling is having an obstacle in front of you and shying away from it, is being afraid to take that on. Because remember I told you about how, like, man, you've got these things and the fear like makes you go like this, right? Adversity, you're like, oh, I can't do that. And if you just hit it head on and you give it all that you have and you apply yourself the best you can, a majority of the time, you're probably going to overcome that. And then afterwards, how are you going to feel? You're going to be like, yes. And then that gives you more confidence for the next time and the next time and the next time. And that's what myself, Ricky Carmichael, who I said he's here wandering around somewhere, when we were young riders, just like you guys, there were little goals and little victories along the way. And so we have win this race, overcome this, beat this rider, and then we crash. Goes back down to the beginning again. So you start stacking up those little goals again. And then next thing you know, you're Monster Energy Supercross champion, just like that, right? And unless you face that adversity, unless you take that challenge on, you'll never know. And you will never reach that victory unless you have that ability to overcome those obstacles and overcome the adversity. Sound good, guys and girls?
Sounds excellent. Don't they say if you're not failing, you're not winning, right?
Right. That's right. Every failure gets you one step closer to success.
Yes.
That's so true.
I think Ty wants to ask you something, and he's being so patient. Look at him.
Ty does?
Do you want to ask a question, Ty?
Yeah. How many championships have you won?
So in terms of AMA championships here in the United States, so you guys know it now as the 250 and 450 class, right?
Yeah.
So back in my day, it was the 125 and 250. So I won a 125 motocross, 250 motocross championships, and then the Monster Energy Supercross Championship, I won that one time. So as they count them, it's 4, yeah. So, and then Motocross of Nations and US Open and amateur championships and all of that sort of stuff, yeah. So now I'm gonna tell your dad how patient you were too. He probably doesn't see that too much, does he? That side of you? All right.
All right. Well,
Anything else, you guys? Like, now's your chance. All good?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're very, very honored that you took time out of your day to share your story, because the reason why we wanted to start these monthly webinars was so that we can learn something about somebody we look up to and realize that just like us, they're a human being and they go through struggles, and share your insight because it means a lot. And so you had a captive audience here, and it's great to connect with you and let them have a glimpse of what you went through. And we just thank you so much for that.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure to be on. I hope some of this makes sense to you guys. I really applaud you for being in the On Track school and working towards your education. I wish when I was your ages that I'd had a program like this that I could have joined also. And so I applaud you guys for putting in the work and the effort and working with the instructors, with the group. And I ask you guys just to keep pushing, and I ask you to look fear in the face, adversity, the obstacles. Don't be afraid to fail, because most of the time when you're not afraid to fail, you'll end up being successful. All right, guys and girls. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate being on. Thanks for your questions from all over the world. And yeah, I hope this works out, and definitely see you guys soon.